went to school in UK, went to school in US, and decided very early on that what I liked most was to explore people, explore in a sense of psychology and neuroscience, obviously, because what interests me always is why do we do the things that we do as human beings? And, you know, the whole world is about relationships. There was no space to talk about the reality of technological challenges for people of my age, where lots of the jobs require you to be very savvy with technology. The other thing is that I think where older people, as older people, where we go wrong, we are scared of reinventing ourselves. 20 years you work in an organization, then you get made redundant, and then somehow you get scared to say, well, what is it that I really want to be when I grow up? So you are the master of your mind, not the other way around. Secondly, your support group. Who are the people in your life that you can count on to be there when you're going through tough things? Thirdly, being open to ask for help. For me, it just means being authentic to what I truly believe and not being afraid to say what I think.
Today, we have an amazing topic around the wisdom bridge, navigating your next chapter in the AI world. How do seasoned professionals bridge decades of experience with demands of AI in the AI era? Samantha Dzabic is here to show us how to thrive in the age of inclusive and tech-driven world. Samantha is a global executive and founder of the Wisdom Network, bridging over 25 years of experience transforming organizations and empowering leaders across 4 continents. A former chief human resources officer and now a strategic consultant, Samantha has guided executives at leading companies like Pfizer and Lendlease through complex transitions. With a background enriched by neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and multicultural insights, Samantha is on a mission to combat workplace ageism and create thriving communities for seasoned professionals. Through the Wisdom Network in Australia, she's pioneering an age-inclusive workplace and helping experienced professionals combat their invaluable wisdom with cutting-edge skills. Today, she joins us to discuss how mature workers can leverage their expertise to navigate the rapidly evolving AI landscape. Samantha, welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective
Thank
podcast.
you. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about the topic that I'm very passionate about.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is a topic that I'm also passionate about, and at almost the age of 54, I'm heading towards that ageism. They say in the corporate world that after when you're in your 50s, it's hard. They say it's harder to get work, right? But let's explore that and see, is that really true? And what is the actual truth? Or because it's all based on other people's beliefs, right? And I think that anyone can find work depending on what they truly value in their life. If they really look at their values, that they really treasure their personal values, and you align the work to your values, it's going to be a purposeful mission, and you're going to transform people's lives in that. So Samantha, tell us a little bit about your journey in life. Where were you born? Where you've come from? What are the highlights? What are the challenges that you've overcome to become the person that you are today?
Well, I was born in a very small place in former Yugoslavia called Bihać. It's actually Croatia at the moment, to a family where my dad was in diplomatic service. So then we moved a lot around the world. So I can truly say I'm a citizen of the world. I then went to school in UK, went to school in US, and decided very early on that what I liked most was to explore people, explore in a sense of psychology and neuroscience, obviously, because what interests me always is why do we do the things that we do as human beings? And the whole world is about relationships, and that was really my fascination very early on. So then, I went and worked for big companies like Pfizer, like Lend-Lease, CIMIC, Verizon, different industries, and worked as a human resources director, human resources officer. Again, all about the people and how, especially in the work context, because we spend more than 1/3 of our lives at work. Yeah, so lots of our time is around the dynamics of the workplace and being in the workplace. And then obviously as I grew older, then it became quite clear at a certain point in time. It wasn't 54, Anthony, it was about 58, where you get made redundant, and then you're trying to find a new role, and then the ageism really raised its head at me. And me being a person that does not take anything lying down, if I can do something about it, then I chose to start being a very, very vocal advocate for better inclusion of mature workforce, and removing barriers to entry to jobs after you turn a certain age. And I think it's a crisis that we have around the world with ageism.
Absolutely, it is. So many people find it difficult to find work once they sort of hit into that 50-something bracket. And so, what are your experiences with people that you've come across with?
My experiences in terms of ageism is, as you would have heard in my TED Talk, as part of a research into, is it really true that ageism is rife? I applied in 2023. I applied for 62 roles in a space of 6 months as part of the research. So from June to December 2023, I kept applying through LinkedIn and Seek and other Glassdoor or any other platform that I could find. And I got 0 interviews. Zero. Zero. I got about, I think it was 20 emails with, don't call us, we'll call you. And we will keep your resume on file, should the blah, blah, blah. And that was very much an eye-opening thing for me. And then I started talking to my friends who are of a similar vintage, so to speak, and they had very similar experiences. Those of us who were employed in organizations experienced discrimination in terms of we would not get put on exciting projects or come annual appraisal time. We were told, oh, well, you are like 2 years from retirement. We don't really want to put you in any programs, but no opportunities. So on one hand, there is a huge barrier to actually get a job when you need one. And then on the other hand is that perception that you have stopped learning and you have stopped growing once you hit a certain age. And that was very disheartening. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about breaking that age barrier in the AI workspace, right? Now workplaces now, AI is it's been around for a long time, but it's kind of entered into this generative AI in different ways in the last 9 to 12 months, right? I'm a heavy user of ChatGPT myself, and I use it for helping me with podcast descriptions and all sorts of different things, even coming up with questions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what inspired you to address the age inclusivity in the workplace and launch the Wisdom Network?
So what inspired me is that there was no support for people for various reasons. I think older people get ashamed to ask for help because they're aging, and that there is the defensive kind of pride that we have, because we have all this experience and stuff. And so, especially if you were in senior roles, then you think, nobody's calling me and I am too proud to go and ask for help. There was no space for people to support each other and open the doors for each other. And there was no space to talk about the reality of technological challenges for people of my age, where lots of the jobs require you to be very savvy with technology. So if you were in senior roles, obviously, you have all kinds of help, all kinds of people working for you, doing lots of stuff. But then comes a point in time you got made redundant and you have to go for a lower paying job or just to sort of get back into the workforce. And that requires you to know tools like ChatGPT or, Gamma or Canva or whatever it is. And you feel lost. So Wisdom Network for me was a way of saying, right, what can we do together as a group to help each other, to help understand? Because, a friend of mine is an IT guru, and he started teaching us in our Wisdom Network on how to use ChatGPT. For example, he taught us stacking. Yeah. So you put something through ChatGPT, then you go to Gemini and put whatever ChatGPT has produced into Gemini, then you go to Claude and you put whatever Gemini has produced into Claude, and then you come up with a really good piece of text or whatever it is that you were wanting, because the three different tools give you a different outcome and they build on each other. So, who would have thought? I would have just put everything in ChatGPT and expected that result. So there are things that people can learn, but there is that fear of actually learning something new, fear, shame associated with fear, shame of, well, I don't know that, but I'm not ready to admit that I don't know it, and I don't want to learn it. Us older people, we become grumpy from time to time, and we just go, I don't want to learn that. I'm too old for that, And so there is a learning in that, on how to ask for help, how to be open to learn, how to not be angry at aging and just accept these technological advances as tools and friends and enablers rather than barriers to whatever it is that you want to do with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology has advanced so quickly. I remember back to getting my first computer at the age of 25. It was a little compact CRT screen. I can't even remember how much RAM and all that was on there, but it's advanced so quickly, and people who are technologically savvy are able to kind of stay with it. But there are a lot of people that it just goes over their head, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I see a lot of people and business owners as well who are scared of AI because there's this fear of, like, it's going to come and it's going to do this and it's going to take over your world and all that. But no, it's like AI can help you automate tasks that you don't really want to do,
Absolutely.
or yeah, and it's like, and so on the other side of this business of what I do in terms of helping, like you're doing, helping organizations to do their change better and all that, is business improvement side of thing. And I'm thinking, find the tasks that your staff don't enjoy doing, right? And then let's automate those so that your staff, your employees enjoy coming to work and doing the work that they do.
Yeah.
What's your experience in working with people
Yeah, very
and
much the
businesses?
same. Very, very much the same. I think it's that fear of, it's going to take over my job and I'm going to become obsolete. But I think for me, viewing AI is a tool for creativity. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that just because something is AI generated, that it's not good. It is a starting point for creativity. People don't start creating from scratch. Like even the biggest artists, like Leonardo da Vinci, they copied old masters to perfect the technique. So AI can be viewed as that. It's it's a innovation and creativity helper and enabler.
Mm,
So I think that
mm,
that's where lots of people go wrong is, well, it's cheating kind of thing. If I put it through ChatGPT, it's not original. It's not, well, there's not much originality in the world. Everything is kind of recycled, if you know what I mean. It's using it in a way that can support you in your creativity journey. It's using you in a way that can support you in your work journey, and it's not seeing it as an enemy, but rather as your assistant, as your helper, as your sounding board, even.
mm,
You know,
mm.
uh, you can ask ChatGPT, well, what do you think about that? And it'll give you something. It'll make you think, and that will spark your creative journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can train it to sound
Yeah,
like you in your voice. And
absolutely.
I mean, I used it yesterday for a post, and it already knows my history in terms of the journey that I've been through in life, the trauma that I've been through, the restructures. And I said, here's it, because I was reading a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan.
Mm,
And I came to this chapter, and there was a heading, and I said, I want to talk about this, but based on my experience that I've been through,
that's it.
not just what the book is telling me, but this is something that I'm really interested in now, using my experience and in my voice, write this, and it did, and it did it perfectly.
That's it.
You know,
That's it.
yeah. So the more you work with it as an assistant, like you said,
Yeah.
the ChatGPT is an agent, the AI
Yeah.
agent that helps. It's your assistant. It's an employee, right? It's a
That's
virtual
it.
employee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you may have an employee that does all the things that your other employees don't
Mhm.
want to do or don't
That-
enjoy doing,
That's
and
it.
yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how have you seen ageism manifest in Australian workplaces, and what steps can organizations take to combat it?
So ageism manifests firstly in the recruitment process. Yeah. So you apply to a job, and
Mhm.
most likely you will get a recruitment consultant who is about 30 years old or younger. And they will look at your CV when they receive it, and they will see all this experience, because we put all of our experience on our resume, and they will just simply disregard that as, this person is too old. The perception is too rigid, too experienced, too expensive. And you will not get that. If you do get an interview in the recruitment process, if you are not savvy in all these new technologies and AI things and stuff, you don't have a great LinkedIn profile, or you don't have an Instagram or Facebook account, whatever, um, you will be eliminated as a candidate, because you're not fitting the box that they're trying to fit, especially if you're applying to technology companies. Yeah, so anything that has to do Google's and stuff. Mark Zuckerberg did us a huge disservice, because he said in
Mm,
2007, young people are simply smarter. Yeah, and so everybody bought into that myth, actually. And now that we are understanding that you really need intergenerational
mm,
kind of interaction to bring about really good creativity, innovation, and stuff. But so that's the first barrier, is the recruitment piece. The second one is when you are within the organization, it's the prejudice around older people. Yeah,
mm,
it's the grumpy old woman or grumpy old man, and closed to communicating with younger people, not technologically savvy. So there are all these myths and perception that are playing out. But I think the biggest one is really in the recruitment and the promotion space in Australia in particular. And
mm,
if you think about it, there is almost a third, if not more, of the population is over 60 in Australia.
mm.
So as
Yeah.
a nation, we are aging, and we are not
Mm,
tapping into that resource, into that pool, into the brain trust that we have. We are eliminating that to give way to the younger people. And this, everybody talks, let's immigration, this and then the other. But we have a third of our people in Australia is around the age where they have the experience and the knowledge that can contribute enormously to the economy and to the job market.
So what can organizations do to support that aging population, and in terms of helping them through the journey, even if they leave the organization, what steps could organizations take that will help this aging population still be part of the working world and be able to contribute in some way?
Well, there are a few things that I talk about is, first of all, improving the recruitment process to eliminate the barrier to entry of older people, being an age-friendly employer, and not just for older people, but also for younger people. Younger people also experience discrimination, as you know. Creating mentoring groups, older, younger workers, mentoring groups, upskilling the older people in the new technologies and stuff. So giving them an opportunity to learn, adapting the learning process to address adult learning rather than just put everybody through the same thing. And then, creating the alumni that can come back and not just mentor, but, still be connected to the workplaces even after they retire. Giving part-time opportunities, giving flexible working opportunities, giving space to every age group to actively participate in the workplace. Yeah, they're just some of the things. And the government to lobby the government to be more active in promoting age inclusive practices in the workplaces in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so many restructures going on.
Yeah.
So many people. I mean, here in New Zealand, the government just announced. I mean, I've just, like I mentioned before, just been through my 24th restructure and my 4th redundancy in my career, and just a couple of weeks ago, I heard that the Ministry of Health is going to get rid of something like 1,700 people, and it's like, where do these people go?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that I think where older people, as older people, where we go wrong, we are scared of reinventing ourselves. So you work, say, for 20 years, you work in an organization, then you get made redundant, and then somehow you get scared to say, well, what is it that I really want to be when I grow up? I just given 20 years of my life to this organization, and they just discarded me as if I'm nothing. But what is it that I really want to do? But we get scared, so we want to go into what is familiar. Change is very scary for people. It's extremely scary. Nobody likes change. We seek certainty. At the same time, we live in such an uncertain universe. Like we are suspended in space on a little piece of rock that is in trillion galaxies. Like, what are the chances of our survival? Anyway, so, we're not putting things in perspective, and we are locked into this little mind of, I need a job and I need this. And of course, you do need a job. You have families to feed, you have bills to pay, or all of that. But having a little bit more of support when it comes to exploring the possibilities within your own life, what it is that you can do regardless of your age. Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? How you want to be in the world? And how can you support yourself with that? And I think that that's what's missing in the whole of our society, because we have this expectation where you got to be in a company and you got to make a salary, or you're going to start your own business. And, not everybody knows how to do that, especially at the point where their confidence is shot and they don't know what the future holds and the next step, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is what I try to do with the Wisdom Network, and helping people explore everything that they can and open doors wherever it can. Because there is strength in numbers, and when you have supportive people around you, there's this goodwill that builds up and helps you overcome things and helps you through the journey. And I think that's what you are trying to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I came to the conclusion and the realization that because my last redundancy was 3 months into the role, three
Oh,
months into the role
wow.
at the largest council in Australasia, they decided to restructure and made my role redundant. Um, and what I'm wanting to do is to help organisations um, navigate the change
Mhm.
better, process better, for leaders to be courageous, to be able to communicate with authenticity, be able to be empathetic and compassionate, and also, the change doesn't just impact employees and it also impacts the leaders, but it also impacts the people that are left behind, you know,
Absolutely. The survivor
and
guilt. Yeah.
exactly. And so what I want to do is go into organizations and help them do workshops and coaching to help the employees become empowered. So the leaders are a good role model. They're bringing in someone who can help the employees. Also, when you go through a consultation, they say give us feedback. Well, not everyone's equipped or understands how to give good feedback. And in my 5-day challenge that I did recently, I had a script that said, here are the guidelines, and here's a script of how to give good feedback.
Definitely.
And so I take them through 5 different things, and whether you're staying in the organization or whether you're going out, it's an end-to-end support network. And it's kind of like, I think what you're doing and what I'm doing, or what I'm wanting
Very
to do,
aligned. Very
it's
aligned.
very aligned. And I think there's room for us to collaborate and work together.
I
So
can't
yeah,
wait. I can't
yeah,
wait. We should.
let's
Yes,
do this. Let's do
absolutely.
this. Let's
Yes,
do
yes,
this.
yes.
So let's talk about empowering. Since I've been talking about empowering, let's talk about empowering the seasoned professionals in the AI era. Why is it so crucial for mature professionals to reskill in AI-enabled roles? And how can they even begin this journey? Like, how do you, like, for me, that is something that I want to go into. And I was like, how do I even do this? And for me, I'm using ChatGPT and this and that, but some people wouldn't even know how to interact with AI.
But there is a lot of information, obviously, and
Mm,
I just recently watched Simon Sinek say, the rule of
mm,
three, and that's when there's a shoe salesman, and
mm,
he says, when women try shoes on, I give them 2 pairs, and then they want another pair. I take 1 pair off and say, which one do you want me to take away? Because when you have a choice between two, you can choose. And imagine you go on to internet and there is tools coming out of the wazoo. Yeah, there's a chat GPT, there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's Canva, there's this, there's that, there's that. So it's overwhelming for an older person. So the first thing is to kind of understand, but what is it that you want to start with? Do you just want to start with text? Yeah, is it something that you're writing? Or do you want to start creating presentations? Or do you want to do photography or whatever it is? So understanding that and finding a good group where people have already figured that out. So I would suggest, reach out to me. We at the Wisdom Network, it's a peer learning thing, which is very effective for people older than 55. So it's not classroom, it's not somebody very condescending telling you what to do, it's not a teacher, it's your peers and you exchange ideas. So that's a very effective way. The other is to start with a book such as AI for Dummies. It's very simple and it's free. It's available. I'll send you the link. It's available. So you just read about it. What are the different tools? What do they do? How do they do that? So it doesn't give you too much detail. It's not overwhelming. And the third one is find a buddy who already does something and explore together. So
mm,
that's what I would
mm,
say. If you're in the company, I think where the companies go wrong is that they focus so much on the technical side of training, and then they forget that there is this whole human element and the way people learn. So most of our training programs are not geared to teaching people over 55 or over
mm,
60. It's not.
mm,
It's geared to the younger generation, and they are born kind of digitally ready. The digital natives, right? They're already on their phones and stuff, and so they grasp the technologies quicker than we do. And it is not a slight on older people; it's just a fact. As
mm,
we age, our brains process information differently, and our attention span is probably around 7 minutes or 10 minutes. It's not anymore in chunks of 20 minutes like before. So, understanding how older people are thinking and working. So the companies should be gearing their training programs to different age groups. Yeah. And if it's combined age groups, to how to kind of do the instructional design to fit the purpose of teaching. Not everybody's technically minded either. Some people are very much more, their intelligence is more around verbal, and some are more mathematical, spatial. So, understanding all these things is quite important when dealing with age groups and AI and learning AI.
What are some of the unique strengths that seasoned workers would bring to the adoption of AI?
The unique strength is that we have experience in recognizing patterns. We have experience in seeing bigger pictures. Younger people have limited experience, not in a negative way, just a different way. And they have not lived 50, 60 years on this world, and they have not been through 15 redundancies and restructures. And, so they have limited experience in how to recognize patterns and sort of see the bigger picture around it. And I think combining the life experience with the digital space is a unique combination and unique skills that all the people have once you remove the barrier and the fear around the technology. Yeah. So I think pairing younger people with older people, that brings the two together. But there has to be a transition period where you teach people how to be together, because older people, we have aversion towards digital natives, because they're always on their phones and and sort of and the younger people find us slower maybe to understand stuff, and my son, who is 23, laughs at me from time to time, right? And I get my back up and I like, well, you don't know everything, I know stuff too, you know what I mean? So it's how do you bring the generations to kind of accept each other with more grace and more compassion, rather than well, mom is old, so she doesn't know any of that, so yeah. So that those are the things that I think about quite a lot. And I have two boys. One is 38 and the other one is 23. So, I can see how different generations work with me, and I'm 63, obviously. So it's like, the 23-year-old is much less forgiving than my 38-year-old when it comes to technology and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What gaps do you see in the current reskilling programs for mature workers?
Sorry, what?
What gaps do you currently see in the current reskilling programs for mature workers?
So really, I see the gap in how to use AI tools. I really see that as a big gap, and companies are not offering a lot of training on that. And even recruitment companies, I think that they should be having programs. A recruitment company that I'm associated with, Pinpoint Talent, where Steve Tolan and I work, we do have programs that we can put all the people through to sort of understand the AI tools and how to use them appropriately. So I think that that's something the companies should be doing a lot more. That's
Yeah.
a huge gap.
Yeah. And how can intergenerational mentoring programs help bridge that gap between the tech-savvy younger people and also the experienced professionals?
So I think there needs to be more effort put in putting mentoring groups together where younger people can learn to slow down and sort of be more focused and present, and where the older generation can learn how to multitask more with all the AI tools. I think these are the things that could be so useful to companies, because younger people are forever in a meeting. You will see people, they check their social media, they'll post something on LinkedIn while they're listening at the same time and answering, whereas a person of my vintage will be focused more on being present in the meeting and not understanding that there is a multiverse of things that you can actually do. So I think putting younger and older people together in some sort of a mentoring program gives skills to both. Gives younger people opportunity to sort of be more present, and gives older people the opportunity to understand how the multiverse works.
How can we shift the mindset around this?
Without exposure, there is no mindset shift. So we can talk about stuff ad nauseum, we can watch videos ad nauseum, but without the human interaction, one-on-one interaction, the giving older people space to be in companies and mix with younger people, that is the only way that the mind shift will change. They say there is an exercise. If you look at another person in the eyes for 3 minutes, you will learn compassion. Yeah. So there is energy in our interactions, person to person. So in the companies, when you have all the younger people together, once you get to know an older person and you share information, or that builds rapport, builds compassion, builds camaraderie, opens our mind to accepting the other. Because we are quite insular with technology. We are quite insular.
Yeah, we are, absolutely. Yeah. Now, what about the emotional side of career transitions? So transitioning careers later in life can be so emotionally challenging. And we talked a little bit about the 5 stages of grief, especially using the Kubler-Ross model that people go through when they're going through life transitions and restructuring and all that sort of stuff. And I just recently did a 5-day challenge, which was called Shift Happens, and it plays on the word of shit happens in life. But, through that comes a shift. So, how can professionals build or rebuild their confidence and a sense of purpose? Now, this word purpose is being used quite a bit, but how can they rebuild that confidence with a sense of that aligns to their values and their calling in life, whatever they're passionate about and whatever, which becomes their work? Because with a job, you can get a job today and then you can lose it tomorrow. But something that is tied to your values and your purpose and your calling is your life's work. So how can we build that confidence?
Well, first of all, on purpose, and this is just my view, I think different stages in your life give you different purpose. When you are young, your purpose is to make a career, for example. Yeah. And then you sort of get married and you get children, and then your purpose in life is to be a good parent, provide for your family. And then you kind of go into, children leave, and then you go, well, what's my legacy going to be? What am I going to leave behind? So there are different purposes for different stage of life. So depending where you are. I think what happens, that the emotional toll on career transitions, especially when you've been made redundant or you've been fired or something happens and you lose your job, is that those 5 stages of grief, obviously. But then what happens in your brain is losing a job, any change, is almost an attack on your life. Your amygdala, your fear center, goes into complete red and thinks, I'm going to die. I mean, figuratively, not literally. But it's the same feeling, because your brain doesn't know the difference between the abstract and the real.
Right.
So, you feel like your world is collapsing, the world is crashing, and what am I going to do and stuff. So building the confidence, first of all, you must learn how to control your emotion. Like even Gandhi said, if your emotions are controlling you, who is the master here? You have to be the master of your emotion and of your thoughts and your mind. So you are the master of your mind, not the other way around. Secondly, your support group. Who are the people in your life that you can count on to be there when you're going through tough things? Thirdly, being open to ask for help. Frequently, we are so proud and so defensive. We go into this hermit mode where we refuse to ask for help because that's weakness. Well, it's not. you need help from time to time, and you can rely on other people, and other people are quite happy to help, you know. So get over yourself and the stigma of shame of asking for help. Just ask for help when you need it. Fourthly, working on knowing where to go for support. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can tap into, even if it's just a website that offers you daily affirmations, for example, that are going to make you feel better. So I think that there's lots of things that we can do ourselves. But the most important for me is to have the support network around you. And in this digital age, it's sometimes really scary that people rely more, we become more insular and rely more on technology rather than reaching out and being surrounded with people. So for me, might be controversial, but as much as I like technology and as I see it as, I also really dislike being connected all the time. It's the disease of our age. I think at one point in time in the future, we will look at this addiction to our phones as smoking today. Like nobody smokes anymore, and you say, like, what a filthy habit. But 50 years ago, everybody was smoking. I think the same thing will happen with technology, where we will go and say, what were we thinking being addicted to these little things that we're carrying in our pocket?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like only today I was doing some editing on a podcast interview, and my phone just kept buzzing, and I'm like, leave me alone.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's like I just want some peace and quiet. But talking about emotions, I was listening to an episode with Lewis Howes and Joe Dispenza, who I absolutely
I love Joe Dispenza.
I love Joe Dispenza.
Wonderful.
And I just bought his book, Becoming Supernatural, yesterday. So, yeah, looking forward to reading that. But he talked about how your trauma that happened was an experience, right? And we associate that trauma because that's something that was an experience, and it was our perception of what happened. It wasn't the truth, because, and your subconscious mind doesn't know between reality and imagination.
Right.
And so, but what he was saying was that absolutely you've got to heal through that. But he says if you keep fueling your emotion, that past experience with that emotion, then you're not going to change. And if you don't change, then you can't become the new version that you want to become, right? So, and so he said it's so important to when, if not now, when are you going to stop fueling that emotion?
Yeah.
When are you going to change your emotion so that to the emotion of the future version of yourself? What would the future version of yourself do? And
But people are very tough on themselves, and there is this thing, if I'm not constantly self-flagellating, and if I'm constantly not experiencing what was bad, then I'm kind of, I feel guilty for not feeling that. So
well, it's their identity, right? They've built this identity based on the past.
That's it.
But if you just let go of the past and make room for all the amazing stuff that's about to come, right? And I also heard Aaron Doherty talk about this. He says, well, and this Christmas, I'm going through a decluttering process where right? So if you let go of the things that you have an emotional attachment to, and it could be relationships, it could be, things, toxic relationships that you've been in, once you let go of that energy goes with it.
Yeah.
And then you're freeing yourself, right? And most people don't want the money and all that sort of stuff. It's the experience, it's the feeling, it's the emotion of being that person, right? And so it's the experience, it's the experience of it. So I totally agree with you with everything you've said. How do you help your clients manage the financial and the emotional costs of reskilling and transitioning into new roles?
Well, financial is quite difficult because sometimes, people are worried about their finances. But I think you always have to think in terms of investment in yourself rather than the cost to your cost of, whatever. So I think investing in yourself is hugely, hugely important. And it's not always that costly. You can find resources with that. How I help my clients is, coaching is about helping people come to the conclusion themselves rather than me telling them. Because when you tell a person something, it's not their experience. So they can intellectually perceive it. But if you're not connected emotionally to something, you will never change. You always have to have a big enough why to do something. So, it's about through conversation, through a guided conversation, helping them understand what it is that they actually want to do and how do they want to go about it. And finding a way that softens the resistance in them to whatever growth that they actually need. Because people are resistant to growth. Comfort zone is very comfortable. And people don't want to move out of that because our brains are always seeking pleasure and running away from pain. So comfort zones are detrimental to your growth. Nothing grows out of your comfort. Nothing.
No.
You
No,
need
your
to be
dreams.
scared. You need to be scared and you need to be challenged. And when they say if your goals are not scary enough, they're not good goals. Right? So you have to have that mentality. So coaching people through transitions through that, it's about teaching them how to be brave and teaching them how to, even if ever so slightly, get out of the comfort zone and embark on that journey of okay, it's my life. I only have one. I'm here for a limited time. So I might as well do something that I like rather than constantly being in the cocoon of comfort.
Also, your comfort zone is not set as a like a finite thing. Your comfort zone expands because life is about expansion, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
the more
Sorry.
we, that's all right. The more we expand out of our comfort zone, the more we're going to experience in life, the more freedom we're going to have, the more we're going to learn. And I think if we become more curious and become lifelong learners and go, hey, and actually treat it like an experiment and go, what would happen if I just step forward a little bit more, And
That's it.
Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, says that your comfort zone is where your dreams go to die.
Yes. It is absolutely perfect. And I agree so much. It is true. There is another saying that I love, and it says, the ships are safest in the harbor, but that's not what the ships are built for.
No,
Yeah. So
no.
it's a built for a voyage.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the story, and I think it was actually Rob Dial, Mindset Mentor, was talking about this, and I can't remember who the captain of the ship was, but and he said to his crew to burn all the ships, and they were going to stand their ground and fight for this land.
That was Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great. There we go.
It was
Yeah,
like burn everything as we go.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about creating an age-inclusive workplace in this tech-driven world, right? What advice do you have for companies looking to create truly age-inclusive environments?
So first of all, as I said before, your recruitment practices. Secondly, the promotion practices. Thirdly, the development practices. And it starts with a leader. Yeah. So look at who is given the choicest jobs, who is given the biggest promotions, who is given the choicest projects, and who is being developed. Yeah. If there is not a good mix of generations, then it's not right. Yeah. So then you won't have an age inclusive workplace. And again, it's not about focusing just on older workers because that's discriminatory in a way, but just focusing on having a good balance in your organization where you're leveraging experience and tenure, but also leveraging the new generational viewpoint. So those are the things that companies need to focus on: recruitment, promotions, development. Look at those, and it starts with the leadership team, obviously. what are you doing and what's your generational mix in all those practices, and you will have a really good balance of intergenerational workplace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. How can organizations blend technological advances with contextual knowledge and leadership experience of mature workers?
We're given an opportunity to younger people to interact with older experienced people and sort of explore in a safe environment technology plus experience. Yeah. So doing
Mm,
projects where they can leverage both, and giving opportunity for to fail. Yeah. So
mm,
that people can learn from each other. Again, when
yeah,
you are in a situation where you're in a close proximity and you have enough frequency of interaction between older, younger people, that's where magic happens. And that's where people start understanding each other and their points of view where they're coming from. And then technology innovation can happen in that space because the experience, the pattern recognition, the strategy that the older person brings to the workplace combined with the technological savvy of the younger person, that creates something else. It's almost like
mm,
a fourth dimension or fifth
mm,
dimension. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, really enjoyed talking about this
Yeah.
subject. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to this, to what we've talked about?
There is a quote that I was thinking about. I don't know who said it. I really don't. But it says that the afternoon knows what the morning never suspected, meaning, you know, older people have that experience. We know stuff that the younger people have not discovered yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Combining the two would be really nice.
yeah. And lastly, what has been your experience in embracing AI
Mm.
in your personal life, but also in your business as well? Mm,
So I am extremely fortunate to work with Pinpoint Talent and Tim Ewington, who is the director of the organization. So really fortunate with them to give me an opportunity to be able to explore AI and to use it. In my personal life, I sort of use it. I write a diary, and sometimes I struggle to find the right words, and I will chuck it into ChatGPT or something and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to say. Give me starting point for this. Lots of presentations that I do with Gamma AI because it's so much easier than me tinkering with everything. So it'll give me a starting point, and I use Canva quite a bit. Yeah. And I started using a image generator as well.
mhm.
So
Which one?
I forget the name of it, but I'll send you all the links of the stuff that I'm using. But they're just such useful tools. So it frees me up at work. So, for example, if I'm creating a new program or if I'm creating something for my Wisdom Network to present to them, I use this all the time. It's the quality is much better than anything that I could sort of design myself, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Yeah.
mm,
So and it's so much easier and frees me up to focus on thinking and improving on what the AI gives me, which is
mm,
what I do, instead of wasting probably 3-4 hours on creating something. And then because when you're creating something, then you also into it and you don't see it. When AI gives you a starting point and you can edit. So that's how I
yeah,
use it.
yeah. And for you, like, uh, it may not be perfect, whatever you've got. Do you still use it, or do you keep perfecting it until and because a lot of people would go, oh, they'll just keep working on it to try and be perfectionists, right? No,
No. I trust AI to do what I want it to do, and I will just give it my color and my flavor. But
yeah,
I'm not a perfectionist by any means. 80% is good enough for me, and I take feedback on, and if people tell me next time, would you do this, and I'll do that. But yeah, no, I'm not obsessive about
yeah. I'm the same. I'm the same as you.
it.
We're quite alike in that sense. Yeah. All right. So we're at that stage now. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you 5 quick-fire questions.
Oh, yeah.
You can choose to answer it in one word or one sentence.
Okay.
So the first question is, how do you define success, and has that definition changed for you over time?
Definitely changed. Used to be material trappings. It's now just people and family,
Mm,
just
mm,
quality of people around me.
yeah. Who's been your greatest inspiration and why?
For me, the greatest inspiration have always been people, small people, not famous people, people
Mm,
who do extraordinary things and they're not famous. One of them is Tim Ewington from Pinpoint, for example, an amazing human being. The other two are my sons, who taught me more than I ever expected. My children were super inspirational to me. My grandmother.
yeah. 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 What is something that you believe others may disagree with?
Technology. I believe that we should disconnect often from our phones and technology. Like I hate walking down the street and just seeing everybody hunched over their phone. Like they forget that there is sunshine and wind and water and beautiful people around.
Mm, mm,
And
yeah.
obsession with technology.
Yeah. If you could go back to your younger self, what advice would you give?
I would say don't pay too much attention to what other people think of you.
Yeah.
Just, march to the beat of your own drum. Trust
Mm,
yourself to know what's good for you.
yeah. And what is one message that you'd like to share with the world?
Be kind, be compassionate. You're not alone. And
Mm,
no man is an island.
mm, great. 2 other questions. What does it mean to be a champion in your own life?
For me, it just means being authentic to what I truly believe and not being afraid to say what I think and believe.
Mm,
Choosing the moment, obviously, not just, unfiltered declarations are also not good enough, but always being authentic and true to myself. That's the message.
mm. And also, as a mind from having a champion mindset, what does that actually mean to you?
Believing in myself and not giving up when
Mm,
life knocks you down. You get up right again. Well, you can grieve, you can sort of wallow for a little bit, but don't let it take over. Just get up again and just go. You only
so
have one life to live, and it's worth living. It's worth living.
it's absolutely worth living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha, for joining us today on the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. It's been amazing conversation, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with you and having more
Yes.
conversations. We may have to bring you back for some other episodes in the future.
Please, yes,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
it's been a privilege to talk to you and I really enjoyed this, Anthony, and
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to working together. Let's
yeah,
do some magic in this world.
absolutely. Because I think with the with what you're doing and what I'm wanting to do, I think together we can change the world.
100%, let's do that.
Yeah, great. It's
Thank
amazing
you.
how
Thank
people come into your lives. Here I was talking to Steve Tolan about
you.
his business, recruitment business and stuff, and he mentioned you in that episode. And next thing is
Yeah.
here you are,
Yes.
and yeah. So it's if you're watching this episode or listening to it, every opportunity that comes your way, every step is a door that's waiting to be opened. And if you think of this analogy of an automatic door, there's a sensor there waiting for you to enter into your future self, into your future um, vision and work. The question is, are you willing to step up to that door, that automatic sensor, for that door to open and take that first step? It only takes one step for your life to change in an instant. Your life can change like that, but you've got to take that step. And
Yes.
so the question for you watching or listening is, if not now, then when will you take that first step? For me, this podcast is now just over a year old, so it's 13 and a half months old. And I'm like, I took one step of recording a trailer for the podcast episode, and that was scary, but I went, okay, I did it. And then I took another step and as I've gone through and recorded each one of or had these interviews and recorded the podcast episodes, I've got better and better and better and better. And I look back and go, look at how far I've come. So the only reason we want to look backwards in our past is to look at how far we've come. And that's going to shift you from being in the gap of life to the gains of life.
Yes.
So I really encourage you as you go into this Christmas and New Year season to really reflect on this year and go, look at how far I've come. Yes, you might have gone through adversity. Look, I've gone through my fourth redundancy, my 24th restructure, but I'm still here doing what I'm passionate about, what I love, because for me, this podcast is a long-term thing. It's it's a vehicle for me to share my voice. For years, I was told, not you talk too much, you need to shut up. Well, now no one can tell me to shut up because I can talk as much as I want.
Yeah.
So how can you create your work? And as I said before, your job is something you get paid to do, and you can lose it in an instant. Your life's work is something that you're called to do from God, universe, whatever the higher source is. And if you take that step out of the comfort zone to expand yourself and just get curious about it and just dip your toe into that lake or the water and go, oh, this is not too bad, and take that first step, I guarantee your life will change in an instant.
That's
So
right.
thank you for listening to this episode. I just want to say you are worthy and you are loved. If you haven't shared this, if you haven't, please share this episode with someone that can benefit from this. And if you haven't subscribed or followed, please do so that you don't miss future episodes. And we can get this out to the wider community and wider world. And lastly, I just want to say champion your life and champion your greatness. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Anthony. Bye.